Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I'd like to talk about a Squier 40th Anniversary Jazzmaster I recently acquired. Overall, the guitar has turned out to be a great guitar now. It was a bit of a journey to get there. The reason that I bought it, these guitars are floating around the interwebs at really bargain basement prices compared to the original MSRP. I got mine for about 350 bucks, so I was very happy with that, brand new. The reason that I was inspired to get a Jazzmaster is because my recent foray into a Squier Jaguar made me decide, well, why not get a 25.5-inch scale offset and see what I think. So anyway, here it is. And as it sits right now, this is a great guitar. I'm super happy with it. It's very playable. The action's as good as it is on any of my other instruments. But it was a journey to get there. So let's talk about what happened when I unboxed the guitar. Now, I knew that it was going to be a satin finish on both the neck and the body. So I cracked it open and I, was like, okay, it's a satin finish. The color, though, on the body especially, was off-putting. It was kind of a neon blue, and it's supposed to be seafoam green. And it presents more as seafoam green now, and I'll tell you how I got to this a little bit later in the video. But anyway, so the color was kind of off-putting, and then the satin finish on the neck just looked cheap, in my opinion. Since they did put such a vintage tint on it, to have it in a satin just didn't look or feel right to me. So we'll get to what I did to that in a moment as well. So anyway, let's go through the list of things that I kind of had to tackle just to get it kind of up and playing. Because out of the box, it had 9s on it, which are not great for an offset guitar of any kind. And they were buzzy and rattly. The action was a little bit high. The first thing I noticed right away was that when I examined the frets on it, they looked horrible. When you level frets, you go this direction, usually with, ending at about a 400 grit sandpaper. And I swear there were still sand marks in it, parallel with the strings. And you should not see that in a guitar that's actually being shipped out available for purchase. So the frets were pretty rough. So I essentially had to treat it as if I had just refretted the guitar. And I went through and I found a few high frets. I leveled those out. I used the Phil McKnight fret rocker hack, where you use a little bit of sandpaper on the fret rocker and then use that against the two adjoining frets to kind of like lower down the action on the middle fret that's the offending one that's a little bit high. So that worked great. I got them all leveled. Then I acted as if I just refretted it. I went through and I taped off the entire neck. I sanded it out. I sanded out each fret with 600 grit up to 1500 grit sandpaper. And then went from that to the steel wool, got a great buff on them, and now it's wonderful. But I basically had to do a fret level and a fret dress and a polish, so that was kind of a pain in the ass. Anyway, so there were 4 high spots, took care of those. The nut had goo on it, and it wasn't fully finished out. So I ended up doing a sand and a polish on the nut, just to kind of make it look like it was finished. What else do we have? When I took the neck off the guitar to do all the work on it, I noticed that the screws, these screws don't go exactly straight into the neck. They're a little bit crooked in some spots, and I mitigated that as best I could while still maintaining a tight fit. So that was yet another issue that I came across. Let's see. Other things that I can think of off the top of my head. The pitch of the neck is supposedly set, 1 degree so that the bridge rides high enough. I felt like that wasn't quite enough. So I added a 0.25 degree shim in there just to get a little bit more height on that since I'm running 10s on it. I could run, you're supposed to run 11s. I'm doing 10s because of the scale length, the 25.5, because I feel like that should be okay. And with that slight raise up in the bridge and a little bit more of a pitchback, it's working great. There's no buzzing, there's no problems. So with that taken care of and all of those things, I had the guitar back together and I started playing it, and I was like, okay, this is a great player. It sounds good. The electronics are good. If I were going to be a purist, I would replace the pots, maybe just the pots in the lead circuit, just because those small pots bother me. But I decided not to let it bother me because the guitar sounds fantastic plugged in. I won't be doing a playthrough on this one. I wanted to talk more about what I had to do in the final bit, which we're coming to now. So I had it all put together. It's playing great, and I just could not get over the neck. I'm just like, this neck, just the satin finish on it and the weird tint just felt like garbage to me. So I started with the neck. I took it back off. I got some McGuire's Diamond Compound, and I buffed it like crazy. I buffed the shit out of it. And got this nice gloss finish on the back and on the fingerboard to go along with the nicely polished frets. And then that made me very happy. So I went another couple days with it in that state, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I just couldn't get over the body. That neon blue, it looked cheap. It didn't look like any Fender color I'd ever seen as far as the vintage selections. And so I just took the whole guitar down. I took it all apart. Cool thing is that when I did discover this tremolo system is good. The body routes look great. It is fully grounded. It has grounding paint inside of it. But each pickup has its own ground wire that's screwed into that shielding paint. And it's done very well. Like I said, some parts of this guitar are just phenomenal. And then, like I said, it's more the fit and finish and the final setup stuff that was bad. So I then took the body. I dragged out my buffing arbor with the giant motor on it. Got that set up, and I just buffed it. I buffed it until I got as much of a gloss finish on it as I could, given the nature of the satin that was sprayed on it. And it turned out to have a pretty decent shine. It actually just looks like a worn-in, normal gloss finish guitar. And now that I have the gloss on it, and I have the gloss on the neck, it feels like a genuine, actual guitar that's not some cheap piece of garbage. So anyway, 40th anniversary, Squier Jazzmaster. They're out there. They're cheap. I'm sure on the used market in a few years, if you see this video long after it's been published, you'll find these. There'll be plenty of them. I mean, they're all over the place right now. They can't seem to get rid of them. And I think part of it is because of that finishing work on them. They just don't look good when you have one finally in your hand and you look at it. You're just like, not so good. So anyway, that's what I had to do to get this guitar up and running. If you can get one dirt cheap, I'd advise you to do so. I would also advise you to maybe realize that you're going to have to put some work into it. But this was all easy stuff. It's not hard to buff the finish. You could even buff it by hand. It would take a lot longer. Or if you had a drill with a little buffing, like a foam buffing pad on it, you just get some polishing compound and just go to town on it. You don't have to have a buffing arbor to do this. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. I don't know why I have so much trouble with that word, and it's always at the end of the video. Go figure. Anyway, hit that button. Take care. We'll see you next time.